To each and everyone. I'm actually taking a time off today so that I could make this video and actually make persons know like what actually transpired back in December and how things have been managed or handled ever since this situation has occurred. So on the 26th of December, I was at my business place where I was actually going through a lot of stuff. I was going through a lot. Yeah. During these times, while I was going through this thing, I was reaching out to friends and different persons to see if I could have gotten somebody to speak to based on how I was feeling. And at some point when nobody did not show up, is like the excess depression, whatever that was causing it, or you would say after it built up inside, it just caused me to lose it, where I started destroying stuff at my business, like all the drinks from the shelf, smashing them in the road, etc., as a lot of persons may have seen in the video that was circulating around. With that activity, it actually drew in the police officers, and you did see how they went about in handling the situation. A lot of things that persons didn't know is that when the police officers took me from George Street in Newtown, they drove straight to the police station with me, and they were trying to lock me into the cells. While I was at the police station and they were trying to lock me in the cell, I was actually telling the police officers that they have no right to lock me in the cell in the condition that I am in. And when I say about the condition that I am in, is that I had a lot of scars on my body, a lot of cuts because of the glass bottles that were broken on the road, and I was slammed down and being wrestled on the ground, trying to be handcuffed on these broken bottles, where I happen to sustain a lot of cuts on different areas of my body, like my hand, my stomach, and my back areas. At the police station, I asked these police officers if they could take me to the hospital so that I could get some type of medical treatment and maybe some documents stating that these are the injuries that I sustained after being handled by the police officers. In the mix of all that, another police officer did step forward and ask the other officers to comply to what I was saying, because yes, I was bleeding all over my body, and they was actually trying to place me in the cell in that condition. So when that was said to them, they then took me from the police station and brought me into a police vehicle on the outside of the police station. At the same time, I did remember that my business place down on George Street in Newtown was left wide open before we left, because the police officer did not stay and help me secure my place or even place the speakers that was on the outside of the business that night before we took off. So then, whilst I was on the outside of the police station, I asked them kindly if that we could return to George Street to just secure my premises. That wasn't done. So how I realized that we was not heading back to George Street is that with me having the visual of the entire street whilst the vehicle is driving, I noticed that we were like on the cemetery area up in Village. Then I started saying like, yo officer, I thought you guys said that you guys was going to take me to George Street in Newtown to secure my business place. That wasn't done. Instead, I was brought to the hospital. When I was brought to the hospital, I could just maybe provide you with the things that I could remember, right? I was brought to the hospital, and then there was this kind of like Asian looking doctor or nurse, however you want to call them, and the person was actually working on my injuries, applying stitches, etc. Then The next thing I could remember from that is that I was trying to explain something to the officer to try to make him know like what I going through. Sometimes I trying to talk, and every single time the only thing the officer want to tell me is to shut up. Every time I just try to talk, everybody telling me shut up. Like nobody don't want to hear what I have to say. Nobody don't want to hear what actually made me reach in that state to be smashing all the drinks at my restaurant. Moving on. I then started receiving a whole bunch of injections from the same doctor, which up to this day I haven't had any idea of what medication was given to me at the hospital, etc. Because after I have gotten all these injections, the next thing I remembered was waking up in a room that is pretty much designed like a cell for criminals. I thought I was in jail, to be honest. But when I looked out a window that was available in the metal door, I noticed that I was at the hospital because of how the people were dressed all in white, etc. So at the same time, I look at the window and then I try to reach out to a nurse just for me to find out like what is my position, what would be next, and you know. So I was like, nurse, just trying to get somebody attention. And it's like the first response I got was, what you want? That was the first response. That is the type of treatment that you get in at a mental institution. What do you want? From the moment I got that type of response, I just went back on that, I think it's like a 2.5-inch sponge that they have flat down on the concrete floor for mental persons. They claim that this is for persons that come up to the mental institution on the first night and they are behaving bad, which is wrong. Because first of all, if you are dealing with persons and their mental condition to start with, if somebody just come out from having a mental breakdown, let us say somebody is suffering from depression, but the best suitable room that you find that you want to put that individual is a room that is actually, I want to use the word is actually smelling of shit, because all over the walls is shit. The room is smelling of shit and pee, and you only get to sleep on like a 2.5-inch sponge, because they say that is where every first coma, that is where they place them when they behaving bad. I do not know where they get that type of logic from to deal with persons that are going through a mental problem, right? Or going through depression. I know when somebody is going through depression, you have to try to give them the best of treatment and try to communicate with them to see like how you could help and how you could assist that person to coming back to their normal self, their normal state. Anyway, I was kept at the mental institution for several days because nobody wasn't listening to me. Nobody wanted to know what I went through. My mother had to leave Dominica to be able to come over to St. Kitts to get me discharged, right? To get me discharged, get me released from the mental institution. Moving on. Everybody was concerned like what I was about to do with the situation. I did went about trying to find a lawyer. I personally do not have money on my bank account for me to go and hire any kind of a lawyer to deal with these matters. But anyway, this matter was pretty much visible to every single person that was in the area to know what that went on. I did not need a lawyer to go and represent me in court to say that this is what went on. Everybody saw what went on. Two nations actually see, Dominica and the island of St. Kitts and Nevis. Two entire countries just saw the whole situation through a video, right? Now, you have, these people told me that do not worry with the matter. When I say these people, I'm speaking like the people in authority tell me, do not worry with the matter, they are taking care of it, I do not have to bother with lawyer, etc., etc. Fine. Okay. I got different callings where I would have to report to court on certain days. The first 2 days I reported to the court where I did not even get a chance to enter, where somebody just come back outside the door and tell me that it is postponed to another date. I just keep waiting on a date. When the date come, the final date, I went to court. I was called just to enter the court to hold what do you call this thing again? them little testaments, I think the small mini Bible, to have it in the ear and swearing about you gonna speak the truth. There's nothing to lie about anyway. You understand? After I done this, I was asked to step outside. As soon as I step outside, maybe like 20 minutes after, here comes somebody tell me that the case is dismissed because of some report that they got from the hospital. So I am just here trying to figure out that what could the hospital actually tell these people for them to just ignore the fact that I was mishandled, mistreated by the police officers on George Street in Newtown outside of my business place for whatever reason. Well, not whatever reason, but because of what transpired. But it was not the right way, because as soon as the police officers came, just because of my depression and what I was going through, when they came, it's like I just felt like, okay, finally somebody's going to take me out from the area, right? And that is the reason why I stretched out my two hands to the police officers so that they could handcuff me. But instead they handcuffed me. He went along and just body slammed me on the road onto all of the broken bottles, etc. Now, the hospital, as they claim, sent in a report to them which allowed them to dismiss the matter. Now, you have the hospital doing such, but nobody doesn't even know the condition that these hospitals are keeping persons with mental conditions. I can actually tell somebody, if your loved one or your family member is going through any type of depression or mental condition, do not send them at the JNF hospital, because they're not going to come out sane. They're going to come out worse than they went in, because the type of treatment that you are getting and the type of condition that you are being kept up there, you can never recover from your mental illness, my brother. The only reason you see me here today with you and I could speak fluent and speak highly intelligent, because I'm a very strong individual from since I was a little boy coming up. You check? Because only you knows yourself. People cannot know you for you. You understand? People will always come around and judge you, right? When everybody have their little situation going through. It's just when you go through your own, it's like everybody want to feel as though that they could just come and walk on you and step on you and say what they want about you. But guess what? Every single person have their fair share to deal with, right? I woke up in this hospital and I woke up with a whole bunch of rash on my skin. A whole bunch of rash on my skin. All over my body was some red buttons, because I telling you, this room, these people making you sleeping, it is just unhealthy. I can actually show you the pictures of the room and everything, you know, because that is why, and you see me, these people can go ahead and do what they want. You understand? You can go ahead and do what you want. You do not need to call proper justice on what was done. You do not need to do it, because if it was me that did some type of crime for me to end up in jail, I would have happened to reach in jail maybe on this situation happened on December 26th, maybe I'd be in jail by January. But now you guys have me dragging, only just to come to them and tell me that the hospital send you a report that you guys just throw off the case like nothing. Like you guys just slam me on the road, get me a whole bunch of cuts all over my body, make me lose a whole bunch of days at my business because I am busy at the mental institution, cannot be released unless somebody of my family is here to release me. Now I am living in St. Kitts on my own, no family members. All my family members is back home in Dominica. My mother had to buy a ticket, all that, you know, buy a ticket, come to St. Kitts to get me discharged from the hospital. And then a day like today, you're just telling me that the case dismissed, right? My phone costs $3,000 plus. It lose. The case dismissed, right? My business, every single day it stay closed. I lose. Case dismissed, right? That is the type of things we going through in society. The law only want to stand for one set of persons, and the other set of people, if we do not have a little money in our pocket or a little lawyer to represent us, is like fuck you, right? But time will tell, my brother. You check, time will tell. These things is just petty things in life. Sometimes maybe life have much more than that for me, you check. But I just want to take the opportunity to expose this type of fuckeries that happening around us in society, my brother. You check, and it haven't just happened to me alone. I know it have a lot of other individuals out there that it has happened to, right? And you see, just what all you do is now I'm going to start to talk and make people know how all you have in them. You check? That is the things I just try to expose and make people know. These are the things that we have to stand up and fight against. We have to stand up and fight against for us to have equal rights and justice among everybody, not for one set of people, my brother. You check? One love and stay blessed.